Today I'm taking a look at the Furibee F180 from GearBest.com. Furibee is GearBest's own brand, and I'm pretty excited to check this one out because it's my first 180 sized quadcopter. Now, I have tested all different sizes of frames, but the 180 size quadcopter takes a 4-inch prop, and I don't actually have any spare 4-inch props in stock, so I had better be careful with this one. But what I really like about this one is the fact that it's got 5-inch components which are compatible with a 4-cell battery. But first of all, let's start off with what you get in the package. We have the quadcopter itself, which is a shrunk down version of the GB210 build that I did on the channel some time ago. As mentioned, you are given 4-inch 4045 tri-blade props, which I think maybe are dowel propellers. However, the specs do not list the brand. They look really nice quality though, and the props are slightly translucent too, which makes them look pretty cool. I like the colours as well. You are given these pointy spinners which you have to use with these props because the 4-inch profile is thinner than a 5-inch prop, and the locking nuts that you get with these motors won't reach the bottom of the propeller when you tighten them up. You are given the original nuts to the motors, but you probably won't be able to use them. The spinners have a hole in the top where you can put an Allen key through to tighten them up. They are directional as well as color-coded. You are also given some double-bladed props of the same size, but these don't seem to be of the same quality, so I will probably not be using them. For the motors, we have Furibee branded 2205 2300 kV motors, which look a similar style to the Racer Star motors, but they are not. They are a completely different design. Then the ESCs are 30 amp BL Halley S with a nice rugged heat shrink over the top of them. The flight controller is the classic SP Racing F3, which is flashed sadly with Clean Flight. My preference is to use Betaflight these days, but I will check out the Clean Flight tune in this video. The flight controller is sat on top of a power distribution board with a regulated output to the camera and VTX, as well as housing a XT60 connector which points down. I would have preferred the connector to be attached to some 14 gauge wire, as this method is known to break off in a bad crash. Up front is a 700 TV line CMOS camera disguised as a HS1177 running in a PAL format with a 2.8mm narrow lens. The VTX is placed on the outside of the frame and is a 25mW to 200mW switchable power transmitter with 48 channels. It works in the usual way of a single press to change the channels and a long press to change the band and a even longer press which lets you switch between the two power outputs. There's a nice LED indicator on there too, so there's no dip switches with this one, which I'm a fan of. You are given a right-hand polarized cloverleaf antenna, which is running a RP SMA connector. Underneath is a really nice battery strap and carbon plate. It also has some nice foam on it to protect the battery. I didn't install this on my 210 build, but I wish I had, especially with the snow that is about at the moment. Also attached to the battery plate and the bottom of the frame are 2 rubber pads to stop the battery slipping. Again, this is another really nice touch. The battery does not move at all in this configuration. This particular battery is my own Infinity 1300mAh 4S graphene battery, which it takes no problem. The battery you are given in the package is a 1500mAh 3S LiPo, which will be perfect for those of you who don't like a 4S rocket ship. With this being a smaller model, it's much more steady sitting on its battery as well. Quads like this can be a pain as they topple over easily on takeoff. This one doesn't seem too bad. You can see behind the flight controller there is a small buzzer fitted to this model. I have had a look on the flight controller and it seems like the VBAT is not connected to the main PDB, which means the buzzer is just being used as a lost model alarm. I think it would have been pretty easy to add the VBAT to give voltage telemetry, as there is no on-screen display with this model. So I have added a external voltage buzzer for this review. There is a nice LED strip on the back of this model, which is the same as my 210 build, but the DIN has not been connected to the flight controller, so you can only use the LED sequence, which is built into the LED board. This isn't a huge problem for me though, as I'm not really a fan of LEDs, and I will probably have it turned off most of the time, but LEDs are good when it comes to racing with other people. If you want to see how to connect this strip up to the DIN so that you can control the LED sequence from the copter, then check out my 210 build. I will link it in the below. The receiver is the FlySky PWM receiver. It's got dual antennas which are tucked inside the quadcopter's frame. I would have put these on the outside personally, using cable ties and heat shrink so that you can take advantage of the full range of this receiver. I also think I would stick the VTX on the inside of the frame too, as there seems to be room and it would help the VTX to be more secure. Moving on to the top, and you can see I have attached my AndyRC branded PRCJ Session 5 mount. It fits perfect inside of the spacers used for the old Hero 4 mounting system. Even though you can adjust the angle of the original mounting system, I find the angle too steep for my style of flying. So with the Session 5 mount, I can have it at any angle I like. I have removed the back spacer too, as it's not needed with this mounting system, but the idea is that you sling a Hero 4 on there, or a Yi camera, or whatever action camera you like, and then use the spacers to wrap your Velcro strap around them, and also the camera to secure it in place. But as it's snowing today, I'm going to have my camera nice and flat so I can land more accurately where there's no snow. Also, in the box, we are given a FlySky i6 transmitter. It takes 4 AA batteries and comes in Mode 2 configuration. However, you can see I have converted mine to Mode 1. You just have to pull the back off and switch the pots over, then go into the menu and change the stick mode. It's set up out of the box to have arming on the rudder. Then switch B is set up as a lost model alarm, and switch C is set up for angle, horizon and acro modes. I have changed this so that the quad arms on switch C in its first position, and then the second position is angle mode, and then the third position is acro. I don't really use horizon mode these days, and I prefer to have my quad arm on a switch because in a panic I don't like to use the rudder. It could also disarm in the air if I do a fast yaw maneuver on low throttle. I have also changed the motor stop option so that the motors spin when the quad is armed. I checked that the failsafe works out of the box before I put the props on, and it works fine, so no need to make any changes there. You are given a manual, but all it tells you is the specs of the quadcopter really, rather than the full clean flight setup, but that is fine for me. We have a 2 to 3S balance charger. Its output is 1 amp, so that's not too bad really. I will be using my hobby grade charger to charge my batteries though. You are also given a little bag containing a bind plug and also a Allen key for tightening up the spinners. I have put the spare screws and motor nuts in this bag as well. So let's go and take it for a fly and see how I get on. So let's see how the Furibee F180 tackles snow and strong winds. Let's go and arm it. So this is on the 3-cell battery that it comes with, and it feels really nice. So I've got my GoPro session mount on the top, but I don't have a camera on it at the moment. So that's acro mode there. It's so windy and cold. Let's see the punch with 3-cell. Oh, the wind is blowing it around. Flies really nice. Again, the tune seems alright, but I don't have a camera on there. And I'm also not flying FPV, and that can usually tell you a lot about the tune rather than flying line of sight. Just look at it getting pushed back with the wind. The punch is really nice on 3-cell, very good for a beginner, I bet. But it's very windy here today. I hope you can hear me okay. It's battling against the wind, but there's a lot of power there even on 3-cell. Okay, let's come in for a landing and let's see if I can do some FPV. So this first FPV flight is through the GoPro Session 5 camera, and I'm also using a 4-cell 1300 milliamp Infinity graphene battery, and it seems like the P gain is slightly too high on the clean flight tune because I'm getting a lot of wobbles through the footage, and you can hear that as well. And so what I did was I came in for a landing and I switched the firmware to beta flight, and I will put my PIDs along the bottom here because I got a perfect tune out of it then. Now I could have persevered with clean flight and probably got a better tune. I think the clean flight tune was designed to not carry a HD camera, and I'm finding that is often the case when these RTF quadcopters come tuned out of the box. But I have to say, I was incredibly happy with this. I couldn't believe how much power this thing had. I would even say that it could compete with a 5-inch setup. There was just so much power, and the thing just gained so much height very quickly. So I have got the camera relatively flat here because it was snowy on the ground, and of course this one isn't waterproofed. So when the camera is flat, I'm able to spot my landing position much better, but of course you don't get as fast forward flight having the camera further forward, and also you get some of the props in shot on the FPV camera as well, which doesn't bother me at all because the camera on top, the HD camera, is higher than the FPV camera. You do not get the props in shot, which I think is nice. Now, I was really impressed with this model. I do wish the FPV camera was slightly wider, but that can be fixed. You can stick on a wide angle lens. And I do wish that there was some form of battery telemetry, so there's no on-screen display. But again, you could easily add an on-screen display to this one, just like you can do with the Eachine Wizard. And it was flying very nice. I really liked this tune, and it was really windy as well, but despite that it was flying really nice and just a ton of power. The reception was pretty good on the signal as well. There's a little bit of noise filtering through from the motors, but nothing severe, so that wasn't too bad at all. And the reception from the VTX was fantastic. There was minimal breakup, and I didn't have any range problems at all. So yeah, really liking this one. I'm looking forward to flying it more in the future. Like I say, I'll probably stick a wider angle lens on there because I found that took a little bit of time to get used to. You don't have as much of the scenery in shot, and you really have to sort of plan where you fly a little bit more because it seems like you are closer to objects than you actually are, and you don't really get a sort of true sensation of where you're flying exactly. That's just my opinion of it anyway. But as I fly around the snow here, just testing out the range, you can see there's no problem at all in this field. Now, because it was snowy, the amount of exposure that the camera had was higher, so I was getting a tiny little bit of rolling shutter through the camera, but I tend to find that in snowy conditions anyways from last year, but it's really not that bad at all as I do a nice 4-point roll there. One other great thing about this setup is because that 1300 Infinity battery is huge for this size quadcopter, I was getting like a 5.5 minute flight time before the beeper started going off. So that was really nice as well. So yeah, using the external beeper here and along with the graphene battery, that was really accurate. You'll hear the beeper start to go off in a moment, and it doesn't go off when I throttle up to 100%. That's a problem that I have with the normal LiPos, as the voltage sang. Not a problem with this one. In fact, I was just sort of flying around at this point, waiting for the beeper to go off, because I don't usually get to fly a mini quad for this amount of time. And there's still plenty of power there as well, so I thought I'd mess around doing some quick maneuvers, see if I could drain the battery. Really nice flyer, this one. I think it has great potential as well. A great package. So there you go, that is my review of the Furibee F180. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.